And welcome back to the True Patriot podcast, folks. We have got a special guest for you here today. This podcast is going to be brought to you by Vicious Fishing. Without Vicious, we couldn't do what we do. Fishing line at affordable price. Check them out, viciousfishing.com. Today, folks, we are going back into the kayak fishing world. And we have with us the man who comes highly recommended across through his peers with the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, Mr. Alex Rojas. Alex, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
You bet, man. You bet. So we've been talking off air, dude. And like I've been telling you, the kayak bass fishing tournament scene is blowing up. There's a lot of steam with it. And not even tournament, just kayak bass fishing in general is just taking off. Big name sponsors, big money going up. You get pros in the field. You got people now wanting to get a part of it. We're going to get into all those things there. And I don't want to jump the gun too fast,
Sure.
But that is really what has led me down to learning more about you guys and what you do out there, because I want to throw my hat in the ring and join you out there, man. I want you guys to...
It's the biggest growing sport in the fishing industry by far. I mean, leaps and bounds. It is the number one growing piece of fishing, right?
Yeah.
Not just for bass fishing. I mean, it's all fishing. Like, we hold multi-species tournaments. We'll get into that later, but it's just it makes sense for a lot of people, and we'll get into that too. But yeah.
Heck yeah. So before we get going too far, I jump ahead there because I'm like fanboying out on you here real quick. But let's start with you, dude. You are the bass tournament director for the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. Who are you? How'd you get involved with it? What do you do for a living? So on and so forth.
So, I mean, what I do for a living, unfortunately, I wish I could fish full time like we all do, but that's always the dream, right?
Right.
No, I'm in IT. I work for Patriot Enterprise. I've been doing that for 20 years. I support the government. Prior to that, I was in the Air Force for 7 years. So I still support the Air Force today, but that's what I do professionally. As far as the club goes, Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. So I used to fish out of my float tube. Loved fishing on my float tube, right?
Nice.
And I did that for years and years and years. And then I found some forums out in California where they competed out of the float tubes, right? And I'm a very competitive person. I said, this is the next thing I want to do. Right. I never competed in any kind of tournament for fishing at all. I just was a weekend angler type guy, right?
Yep. And
I said, I want to start competing. How do I do that? There's got to be somebody in Colorado that does float tube competitive fishing. So I started doing the Google searches and all that. This is back in 2014. And I stumbled across Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. And I saw that they hold tournaments. And at the time, we allowed float tubes, canoes. Our insurance was different. Now it's only kayaks. But our insurance back then allowed us to other vessels as well. So I emailed the tournament director at the time, who's Dave Kuzer. Hey, can I participate in my float tube? And he's like, yeah, this is what you need. You need a PFD, a measuring device, all this stuff, right? And I was like all excited. I'm like, great, I'm gonna start competing against these guys in kayaks. I knew nothing about kayak fishing. Never saw anybody in a kayak. I knew nothing about kayak fishing, right? So this is May. My birthday's May 13th. The first tournament is May 20th or something like that, right?
Right.
I'm the type of guy that just jumps all in. I do. And everything I do, I jump all in. I really do. So never been in a kayak in my life of any kind. 3 days before tournament, Wednesday, is my birthday, Wednesday, or right around my birthday. My wife says, just go get yourself a kayak for your birthday. I already know you want one. Because I was doing all this research about kayak fishing. I was like, this sounds so much better than my float tube. Because in float tube, you can only go very little distance, right? But a kayak opens up so much more. And so I went and bought a kayak. I went to Bass Pro Shop and I bought a Ascend 12T. Never been in one in my life again, right? So I'm rigging it up, trying to put my fish finder, because I had my fish finder, my float tube. I had a nice setup on my float tube. I could take 6 rods, nets, the whole 9, right? So I had to figure out how to jerry rig the kayak to fit all my stuff. So I was messing around with PVC, and I'm bolting it to the kayak so I could. It looked. It was ghettofied, right? It was just not the best looking deal.
Frankenyak.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So back in the day, that's what everybody did, right? Because they didn't make kayaks specific to fishing. It was just a kayak, and you modified it, right?
Right.
And that's before me, even, right? So tournament day comes. I'm so nervous just to fish a tournament. Number 1, number 2. I've never been in a kayak, right? So they had the morning meeting. They let everybody launch and go fish. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at everybody launch. Like I'm literally staring at everybody, taking notes, because I don't even know how to get into a kayak. And I'm watching them all go, right? And they all launch. And I'm sitting there like, and this girl, Angela, was sitting back too. She's like, hey, you want a drink? I'm like, I'll have a drink. Yes, I will, right? Because I was nervous, so she could tell. And so I had a quick drink with her. Just one of those shots. That's all I did.
Yep.
And then I went to the kayak and said, let's do this. If I fall in, I fall in. And I got in the kayak super nervous, and I started paddling out. And I went out and I fished that tournament, right? I caught 1 fish that day. I was more just trying to figure out the kayak than actually fishing the whole day, right?
And stay dry.
First experience. Yeah, it stayed dry, exactly. And it's May, in Colorado, May. Water's still cold, right?
Dude, this water up here is way cold for those listening that are from down south and such.
They don't understand.
This water up here is super cold all year long.
Right. Yeah. So that was my first experience, and I was like so nervous. I got hooked. That day forward, I had 2 float tubes. I still have them today. They have not touched the water since that day.
Now, were they the belly boat kind, or were they the kind of the horseshoe kind that you kick behind?
Yeah, they were the horseshoe type, the U-boat, if you will, whatever you want to call them.
U-boat, that's right. Yeah.
I sat there and I had my little fins. I just kicked for, it was they have not touched the water since that day, though. But I'll tell you this: at that first tournament, I took my kayak with me, just in case the kayak thing didn't work. I was going to go grab my float tube out of the truck and go out in the water, right? But it turned out great. I loved it.
Boy Scout prepared.
Yeah, so that's how I got involved with it, right? And I just started. That became my passion. That just, I have an addictive personality to anything I do, and I just jumped all in. That summer. I did horrible in that tournament series. I did terrible. I didn't hardly catch any fish. I just didn't do that good. I was like towards the bottom of everything. I said, this isn't going to happen again. Why are these guys at the top, consistently at the top? And I started, why are they better than me? What makes them better than me? And I started doing my research, and that took that whole year. And I researched, used YouTube, books, you name it, I was on it. I was reading about it, learning about how to read, not just species you're targeting, but what they're eating.
Right.
What time of year those, crawls are molting and all that good stuff, right? Shad spawns. I knew nothing about all that stuff. That made me such a better angler. The next year I was angler of the year. I went from being horrible to angler of the year the next year, right?
There you go.
Not to say I'm special, I'm not, but I just work harder than most people, and I do my research, right?
Yeah. And
what I'm saying is that anybody could do this. I went from 0 to hero in a year, basically, right?
Right.
And I'm saying this because for those people that are intimidated to get into sports like this and in competitive fishing, don't be. It makes you such a better angler. It really, really does. Especially if you're competitive, because you're going to go out there and try to figure out what the people at the top are doing, why they're better than you. It just comes down to research, understanding things, water temperatures, understanding everything about a species that you're targeting, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got into it. And then that first summer, I hooked up with Jason Duong, who was a part of the board at the time, and Johnny Waginka and Dave Kuzer. And they asked me to be part of the next board because we did 2-year stints, volunteer board. Mm-hmm. 2-year stints. They asked me to be the treasurer the following 2 years, and I said yes. And that's how I got into it. So I was treasurer for 2 years. Then I became president for 2 years, and now I'm tournament director for these 2 years. So I've been with the club on the board for the last 6 years. A lot of growth in that time. It's been incredible working with everybody, not just the board, but previous board members have been such a great help, and just the general people that are in the club are incredible help. They really are. Everybody. It's a great atmosphere to be around. People make some really great friends that way. I have so.
Well, I can tell you, speaking with, as I was mentioning off air, talking with Jody Queen about a lot of the fellow guys that he competes with at a national level, at a professional level, this is all he does. And then speaking with several other professionals that we're trying to work on getting them on board with us to do some interviews, they all agree with what you just said. It happens throughout the entire kayak fishing ranks, which is you really are keeping tabs on each other out there, because I mean you're kind of each other's own safety.
That's exactly right.
So
Absolutely.
what you're competing, of course, I want to beat you, but it's the competition in the sense that, yeah, but are you okay? And
Right.
it just shows like Jody and Corey Dreyer, those guys are, very close.
Absolutely.
More than just teammates through like Z-Man and Hobie and all that kind of stuff, but
Right.
but yeah, I've noticed that. And even on the bass boat side, there is a piece where, tournament anglers, we travel, we're on the road constantly. So you see somebody needs a hand, you give them a hand. But I will go so far as to say, I think it's even more so.
Right.
Just from what I've seen. I don't have experience yet.
Right.
I plan to join in but it's one of the things I'm really excited about, because it
Yeah,
does look like an awesome community.
It really is. I'll give you a great story about the safety thing. So at national championship in I don't remember the year, 18, I think it was, maybe 17 or 18, the KBF national championship down in Kentucky Lake. I went to it, and there's a guy fishing, and a guy flipped his kayak in the river.
Oh,
and he was damn near drowning. And another competitor who was at the top of the leaderboard, like competing for $100,000, like it was like day two. He was in the money, like he was way up there. He stopped fishing. The rest of his day was to help that angler get off the water, get him warm, get air vac. They air vac him out. I mean, that's the kind of people, he gave up a chance for $100,000 to help this person, right? And
hell yeah.
Got him off the water and got him off. So, of course, always safety first, right?
Yeah.
But the camaraderie in this, just the people in this clubs are they're incredible. All the clubs, everywhere you go, I mean, we're a family. It really are. It's a big extended family. Yeah.
Well, and that's so important for that consistent message to come across for a sport to grow. I always warn people when they ask me about the tournament fishing, getting into it, if they're outdoor enthusiasts, or if they're just, they enjoy the weekend side of things, they ask, how do I get into tournament fishing? First thing I warn them about is, listen, if you get bit by the bug,
oh my God,
if you do have an addictive personality, if all those things you said, I think you and I may be related somewhere down the line, Alex, because yes. And yeah, when if for some people, man, I explain it like, for hunters, buck fever.
All right.
They harvest, they take a buck, and you can literally see them physically shaking. I get nearly the same thing on any level of bass that I catch. I get giddier than a schoolgirl, inside my head. And it's just, if you get bit with that and then you add that fishing to it, oh my goodness, it becomes an obsession, man. And
it really is.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with the first fish I catch and the fifth fish. It's always trying to get started. You got to get that first one.
Yeah.
And then trying to get that limit, right? Once you get that limit, yeah. And then it's from there, it's leaderboard watching and just trying to upgrade, right? But yeah. It's incredible. It's not for everybody. Tournament fishing is not for everybody.
Right.
We have this one guy, Jim Needler, and I think Jim Needler, he's won a hell of a stick. He's really, really good.
Yep.
He just doesn't like the tournament aspect of it. There's too much pressure. He just likes to have fun and fish. And for him, it's just the tournament thing wasn't for him. It's not for him. He'd kill us if he fished, and he just doesn't.
I've seen the same thing, on the boat, bass boat side of things. Some of the best anglers I've ever met have never gotten in a tournament day one in their life, because they have no desire to.
Right.
And that's just not what they're there for. But I would put their fishing knowledge against some of the best I've ever hung out with.
Right.
Yeah. Tournament fishing is its own bird. You can
really
be an okay angler and a pretty darn good tournament angler, though.
Absolutely.
And vice versa,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's its own deal. So talking about, you've mentioned them a couple times. So me doing my investigation and reaching out before I've landed with being directed to you, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have been extremely, if not the guy that's been instrumental in getting the KBF here to Colorado. Several people are saying that you are like one of the main reasons the KBF is here. How did that happen?
Right. Sure. So, I wouldn't say I'm the main reason. It would have happened anyways. It really would have, right? It just happened to be that I was the president at the time and I was the right person to talk to and to get help and get it started. So Perfect. Like for one instance, the first major tournament we had here was the first Hobie Tournament of Champions. The Hobie series started from Tournament of Champions. This was back before the Tournament of Champions got sold to Hobie. AJ McCord. AJ bought it and he runs the Hobie series now, which is now a national series, right?
The boss.
So the first year they're going to run it. There's this guy, Cody Prather, who used to run the Tournament of Champions down in Lake Fork. And I called Cody and said, Cody, because they were going to do something different and start running this Hobie thing all over the nation, right? So I called Cody up. He's in his deer stand. He's talking about hunting. He's in his deer stand. I called Cody up and said, Cody, how does Colorado make this happen? Because we went down to TOC strong. Like there's a lot of us that went down there. So we represented Colorado really well down there. And so he knew that we supported that club or that series. I said, how does Colorado get involved? How do we get a tournament here? He says, well, let's get started. Let's start talking about this. And let me get you in touch with AJ. And so that's how that started with Hobie. And so AJ reached out to me and says, okay, yeah, we want to do Colorado, but we need somebody to run it. Will you run it? And I said, absolutely, I'll run it. Any opportunity that Colorado can have from a national level to represent, I'm going to step up. And so I stepped up to run the Hobie tournament down at Pueblo. So we did that one. We had a good turnout. And then the next year, Chad Hoover, the owner of KBF, contacted me and said, hey, brother, I want to hold a tournament out there. Will you run it for me? Again, absolutely, I'll run it. So I was tournament director for that one as well. So that was at Pueblo as well. So that's how that one came to be. And then now this one again. So KBS sponsors our club as well. I talk to Chad every now and again. He wanted to bring another event out west, more events out west, so Arizona, Utah, California, and Colorado. So we're holding another one. It'll be April 30th at Chatfield Reservoir. So I'll be hosting that one as well. I'll be the tournament director for that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's how that came to be. Is people just reached out to me. It's just been timing. It's not that I'm anything special. Again, it's just timing and the position I'm in.
Hey, run those opportunity here, so. Right? Absolutely. Opportunity. Yeah. And you could have said no, but you didn't. You said yes. And I can tell you from an avid just bass fishing fan myself, thank you, because KBF is some horsepower, man. I mean, these guys really on a national level, what are they in? I'm going to get this wrong, and Chad, please forgive me. But I want to say it's 43 states that they're currently in right now.
Right. Yeah, I think that's about right.
It's somewhere in that ballpark. Right. I know that, but and that's his full dedication to growing this sport. You know, like his methods, don't like his methods. Whatever. Social media brings out everybody. Sure. I can tell you from an unbiased view, I love what the KBF has done, how they continue to try to push certain aspects of the sport and drive it and grow it for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Now he's truly one of the pioneers in the sport, right? Not to say he's the one who started it, but he's truly one of the pioneers. Everybody knows that. And where he took it to, his vision was what really is fast forwarded the growth of the sport. It would have happened eventually, it really would have. But I mean, it was his vision and him driving and his YouTube channels and his shows that he had back in the day, and him buying, his companies that he bought, the kayak companies, and then starting KBF and starting a tournament series. And from there, everything's growing, right? I've had conversations with him, and he talks about all the time about how he loves to be at the grassroots level. Mm-hmm. And he kind of wants his club still to be the grassroots. And he loved, like when Bassmaster came into the kayak world, BASS, when they stepped in, I had a conversation with him shortly after that announcement came out. And he's like, people think I'm upset over it. I'm not. He goes, because I can only take the sport so far from a big sponsor perspective.
Yep.
BASS already has the name. They already have the relationships with those huge sponsors, with Toyota, with Berkeley, with all the big, the big companies.
Yep.
And they'll bring the sport to another level, which they have. And now, just this week they had the Bassmaster Classic for the kayak. They just had that this week. Hobie stepped in huge, and they're their series is exploding right now. It is absolutely exploding. They're selling out their tournaments. They have 200-person limits at their tournaments. They're selling out within 2 or 3 hours, selling out.
Yep.
And it's months in advance, and they're already selling out. As soon as they announce them, they sell out.
Yep.
So, I mean, the sport's growing. I mean, it's just blowing up. And us, again, KBS sponsors our clubs, and they give us opportunity to give back to the community. So can I talk about our club here just for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to, I was going to take us right there. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's talk Colorado Kayak Fishing Club.
Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. It came out to be, so back in the day, there was a group of people, and I'm probably going to get all the names wrong, but John Wiginko was the president. He's the guy who first started this. Him and another guy, Chris Spencer. Chris, I haven't met him. I don't remember his last name, but another Chris, okay? Well, the first two guys actually started Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. He actually owns it. His name's on the club as owner. But there's a group of them. It was him, them two, Dave Kuzer, Jason Duong, I think Brett Winling and his wife, Stephanie Winling, were all part of those initial people that really got this club going. And they were Google groups back before Facebook was a thing. They were Google groups, right?
Yeah, right.
And so they had a Google group of just, we all love kayak fishing. And they just shared ideas how to modify their kayaks. And, hey, let's go have a day out at Chatfields or whatever, Horsetooth, wherever they want to go fish. And they would just get together as a group and go fish out there and have fun, right? And then, so Johnny Waginka, he had a vision. His story is pretty fascinating, too. I mean, he grew up pretty poor. And a big part of his life was growing up in Denver was the Boys and Girls Club. So to keep him out of trouble, he'd go there. They'd give him lunch, have his summer there, keep him out of trouble, and he would go there, right? So he always remembered how much people gave back to him and helped him when he was, growing up with help, right? And he wanted to give back to the community. So he started thinking about, how can we do this? As a group, they all started talking about, how can we give back to the community?
Right.
And so Dave Kuzer ran like the Walleye Association stuff here in Colorado. He ran a lot of tournaments for them. So he already had experience running tournaments and stuff and running clubs and everything, right? So he said, why don't we start tournament series? And we could be a nonprofit organization. We can make money as a club, give prizes out obviously to people that win and everything, and then give back whatever we make as a profit to another organization to give back to the community.
Heck yeah.
To turn it full circle, right? So that's how it was born. In 2012, the club was born. It got established in 2012. 2013, they're still planning everything out. The first time they ever had a tournament was in 2014.
Nice.
Right? And that's when I got involved at the same time there. In 2014, they had their first tournament series. That whole first year went through. They made $875 at the end of that year, right? $875. They donated to, I remember I wrote the check out because I was treasurer. We donated to the Boys and Girls Club, which it all started from, for Johnny, to the Boys and Girls Club of Denver.
That's
so
awesome.
We went down there, we gave them an $875 donation. And this is on behalf of the club. When I say the club, it's not the board members. It's
right.
The people, the members of the club. It's all the people that pay their membership fees, that show up to tournaments. It's their money that turns around. It's because of them that we're able to do this. It's not because of anybody else. It's because of the people who actually participate in these things, right? Right. So it was pretty awesome to be able to do that. So going full circle here. So we've done that every year. We've donated to various organizations, helping Patriot anglers, helping veterans, helping battered women. We've donated to the club, cancer organizations. Brett's Place last year, Brett's Place, we gave them $5,000. We went from $875 a year to $5,000 last year. That's how much the growth is going, right?
That is so
pretty
awesome.
Incredible.
Yep.
So this year is our 10-year anniversary. Pretty cool for us, right? It's 2022. It's our 10-year anniversary. So our president, Brett Winling, he put out a goal. It's a lofty goal. He says, so the first year we donated $875. It's our 10-year anniversary. Let's 10 times our first donation. So we're going to try to donate $700 basically. $8,700 is what we're going to try to donate this year.
Nice.
Again, to the Boys and Girls Club again. So
nice.
Full circle again. So that's what we're trying to do. That's our goal this year. So we need members to sign up. It's a $20 membership per series. We have two different series. We run a bass only series and we run a multi-species series. Multi-species means that if we go to Pueblo Reservoir, maybe we'll fish for walleye, trout, and bass. You have to catch all three. maybe 221, 222, whatever the tournament director says. Okay.
Nice.
If we go out to in the same year, we go to Spinney Reservoir, then it's pike and trout. So you have to catch maybe 2 pike and 3 trout, or 3 pike, 2 trout, whatever the tournament director decides.
Right.
So Justin Collins is the tournament director, whatever he decides this year, right? So we might go to John Martin. He might put wiper on the list. He might put drum, you know? So you have to be pretty versatile.
Yeah.
A fisherman to be able to do that, because it's not just getting basket gear and going out.
Well, I can tell you, coming from the Mississippi River area that I was fishing in for a lot of years, the best way to catch a drum is fish for a bass.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only way I've caught them. Throwing crankbaits or
Same with pike. Take your most expensive lure you can find, throw that out there, and the pike will destroy it for you.
So Spinney, Spinney is incredible, right? It's incredible fishery. It's gold medal water. Obviously, every fish is for trout there, right? But the pike fishing, I love pike fishing. I don't like trout fishing. I love pike fishing.
Yep.
And we always tell people, if you're a bass fisherman, you do really well fishing for pike.
Oh God,
you will.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, you take your basket gear out there, bait casters, all that good stuff, and go for it. You know, so
it's predatorial, right? I mean, it's what you're doing is you're going after a predator. This one just happens to be a little bit more cross-eyed and crazy in the pike. Those things are freshwater barracuda, man.
They are.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose some lures too.
Oh, so you're talking to a guy that I spent 10 years up in Minnesota up there between dogfish and pike,
right,
and muskie at times.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I used to tell the story that, you know what, I still use them today. I have some in my boat. I have scum frogs, these little topwater. They're only about $2.50 a piece, little rat mice looking things. Throw them out into the muck, you know, on a spin casting rod even. And dude, you'll get topwater blowups all day long. And I could throw those in a lily pad, whatever, and catch bass. The moment I grab, like, say, a $10 pad crasher and throw that out there, boom, I found the one pike in the whole, you know, square mile of where I was at.
Yeah, of course.
Like they can smell the dollars or something on top of the water.
So
I don't know.
True. Yeah, it's so true. But that's the history. That's how the club came to be, and that's the history of it. So, yeah, we hold 2 series. Again, bass series and multi-species. They're separate of each other. We have angler of the year for both of them, first, second, third. We have great sponsors that give us tons of stuff to give away. So every tournament, we probably give away. Some tournaments, some people get 2 prizes, not just 1. Everybody. I don't care if you didn't catch a fish. So at the end of the tournament, our top 10, top 8, 9, depends every year how many sponsors we have, but we give prizes to the top 8 or 9. Okay. After that, we do random giveaways. And our random giveaways are great stuff, like $100 rods that anybody can win just for participating in
showing up, registering, and fishing. Yeah.
So we've had multiple tournaments last year where everybody got 2 prizes. Everybody got 2 prizes. That's pretty incredible. Our angler of the year ceremony, everybody got at least 2 prizes at that one, and there were some, I mean, big prizes there that they were just random giveaways to just random people, you know. So this year, I'm gonna put this out there a little bit. It's not 100% yet, but our club we're looking to get 2 kayaks, and we're gonna give them we're talking about this. This is all still debating what we're gonna do. We're talking about doing an angler of the year prize for it. But we're saying, you know what? Better yet, let's give it to anybody. So what we're thinking about doing is, if you fish tournaments, you get a ticket, let's say. And at the end of the year, we're going to do a drawing. And if your ticket comes up, you could not catch a single fish the entire year and win a really nice kayak.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, so we're trying to work that out. We still don't have, the kayaks aren't solid yet, but we're pretty close to making that happen. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, but we give away tons of prizes to everybody. We really do. You know, for Christmas this year, we gave away 2, 1 for each series. We gave away 2 prizes. And they were $250 gift cards to Shields.
Nice.
I mean, just random giveaways, you know. So I mean, we try to give back as much as we get, if that makes sense. But at the same time, giving to our charity of the year, right?
Well, and that's, I mean, man, serving others, right? That's at the forefront of it. Is one of the reasons that brought me to looking into you guys and starting to learn more about you, is because reading the about piece and learning more about your club, as I am, you know, new to the kayak fishing world, and not new to fishing though. But so I'm just trying to look, where do I want to place, put my flag, so to speak, and make home base. That's what attracted me to the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, was serving others, and then seeing the together and support system. You mentioned Shields. Shields is a major player in a ton of the work that we do at the True Patriot Outfitters, and then there's support for the Romans Warrior Foundation. We had the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance there last year. We're trying to get the I's dotted and T's crossed. We're coming back in November again this year. That one, actually, I'll keep you in the loop on that, because that one could be a big event there at the Johnstown location.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so it's, when you get great companies like that back you up, it allows you to do some really cool things. So that is awesome that you guys foster that.
Yeah, I'll give you another example of a great sponsor too. So we have a guy, Sergio Morio. Okay, Sergio Morio, he lives down in Pueblo. He's a doctor down there. He got into the sport, and hopefully he doesn't mind that I share his story. I'm pretty sure he won't. He's shared the story before, but so he has glaucoma. He has glaucoma, right? So he was in a pretty dark place there for a little bit once he found that he had glaucoma and stuff, and he got into kayak fishing, and he found our club, and he just saw how our club is a family. And it really meant a lot to him. How we all went out, we took him out, we taught him. He didn't know much about fishing. Went out there, taught him how to work the kayak, how to set up the kayak, how to fish, and I've taken him out personally several times, and lots of us have, many of us. And he just loved that. And it really meant so much to take him out of the dark place that he was in, that now he gets back. So now his practice, it's the Southern Colorado Clinic in Pueblo.
Okay.
And he's a doctor down there, physician, and he now donates to us every year. And he's one of our major sponsors every year. He gives us money every year to do whatever we want. He just gives us cash, and we do whatever we want with it. So again, that's a member becoming a sponsor, giving back because of the way the club treated him.
Yep.
And that's what we foster here, and I really believe that's what we do. We're pretty. We don't judge people here for the most part. Hopefully, there's no dumb questions. When people ask questions, we answer them.
Right.
People Sergio Morio opens his home to people he doesn't know to stay at his house if they want to go fish at Pueblo. He has a bunch of kayaks. He takes people out all the time that he doesn't know. He just takes them out.
Wow.
He's paying it forward, right?
That's really huge.
That's how, if somebody wants to try out a new kayak, they want to buy a kayak. It comes up all the time. I want to buy a kayak. What should I get? We always recommend try them all out. I'm sponsored by Native Watercraft. I'm sponsored by them, so I should be pushing Native, right? And I do. I love Native. I do. It's my favorite kayak, but doesn't mean it's the best kayak for you. It really isn't, right? Your fishing style may say a different type of kayak may fit your style better. It might be a Hobie, it might be Jackson, it might be New Canoe, it might be whatever, right?
Right.
So we always tell people to try out all the different kayaks. And so when people ask that question, people flood it. Hey, you want to try my kayak? I'll take you out. I have another kayak. You could try my Hobie. You could try my Native. You could try them before you buy. Yep. So that's the kind of family we are. So we try to, even if we don't know you, we're going to invite you in. We're going to take you out on our kayaks. We want to get people hooked on the sport that we all love, and it's our passion, right? So
we're close to that in the bass boat world, short of. If somebody were interested in, whatever, I think there's a lot of guys that would take you out in the boat.
Right.
I don't know how many would be really comfortable turning the steering wheel over to a guy that's never driven one before.
No, I get you. And these kayaks are especially the high end ones, talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 kayaks. All it up.
Yeah. No, I was doing the math on it because it is a far less expensive way to get into the sport.
It is.
But when you do become accustomed to a lot of the tools of the trade, man, that price tag sure does start to climb up there.
It really does. Yeah. I don't want to scare people away because it can be, right?
You don't need half the stuff
exactly
that we use at tournament level. But the problem is once you get used to it, trying to go back.
Right. Yeah.
Going back is maybe scarier than if I were to go out without ever having it. I would rather do that than.
Yeah, we get that all the time too. Is that people are like, "Well, it's kind of unfair that you have paddle kayaks competing against pedal kayaks, right?" And in some series they allow motors. We don't allow motors in our series. but some series they allow motors, right? So how does a paddler compete against a guy who has a motor, right, on his kayak?
Yep.
And I'll tell them all the time, it doesn't matter. So I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, we had Scott Brands. Scott Brands had a paddle kayak, and he beat us all Angler of the Year.
Yep.
Out of a paddle kayak.
Sure.
It helps to have pedals and all that good stuff, but it's not needed. You can still compete. On a national level, some guy just won a tournament out of a paddle kayak. It's, entry level doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get out on the water, have fun, enjoy it. If you want to compete, compete. If you don't.
I was going to say, I think you're better off starting on a minimalist mentality,
Really, truly,
then work your way up.
Absolutely.
I think, and I would do the same thing at giving advice to that in a boat, because in a bass boat, depending how it goes for you. I'm addictive. Again, my addictive personality, I go all in. So I started with the Ascent, and then from there, it just started upgrading. I had a little fish finder. I had like a 870 Eagle. It was a black and white. Yep. Yeah, black and white fish finder, and that's what I used my first year. $99 type thing.
Yeah, $99.
Had the same thing.
Upgrade to like a Lowrance 4, not even the one with the mapping, the 4X, whatever, and then
it had sonar though.
Yeah, and then I went to the 5, which had the mapping. You just keep upgrading, right? Now I'm hoping to eventually get forward-facing stuff, but that's not yet.
You and me both. You and me both. I mean, I've been doing this a lot of years. Everybody in the field, there are even guys that fish twice a year. They got Panoptics. This and that. I still don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I know that behind the 8 ball going against a lot of guys with it, but again, it's like what you just talked. Paddle. There's a lot of other factors involved.
You can still compete.
Let me come. And I'm gonna ask this from a very unbiased outsider's perspective to this, and I want to preface this. As a 50-year-old dude, the prospects of going out and fishing and paddling or pedaling for 5-6 miles really makes me think twice about ever wanting to join something like that.
I got you.
So what my question is, I get it on the national stage. Okay, so let's talk here real quick. 3 big name national kayak fishing. You've got the KBF, you got Bass, and you got Hobie. Those are your big guns, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you got some other nationals that are up and coming. That All-American thing is starting to make some noise. They're getting sponsors. They got members. We're actually looking at it because they fish a lot of the Missouri Lake areas, so, but right now the big 3. I totally understand the Hobie Boss series and their stance on paddle or pedal, because let's face it, like you said, I am with New Canoe, working that side, but let's face it, Hobie owns the pedal drive industry. That Mirage drive is off the chain. It's got a reputation. It's amazing. So I get it why they did that, but even now they're feeling some industry pressure, especially at that national level, to consider the allowing, because here's the one thing that I'm going to add to this, and then I'll pose the question that is coming. There are kayaks, I would venture to even say your kayak, that are coming off the factory lines, built, pre-molded areas, formed and ready to put a motor mount on them.
Yep.
So what is, for a new guy coming in, what's the driving force behind not allowing trolling motors into tournament fishing?
Sure. So there's a couple factors, right? So number one is we want to stay closer to our roots, right? So start adding motors, to start changing things, right? The biggest reason of all, number one biggest reason for us personally. So there's another club here in Colorado, Colorado Bassmasters Club. Uh-huh. They're awesome too. They run tournaments here as well, and they allow motors. They run off the Bassmaster rules and all that good stuff as well. So,
right.
But we don't. And again, we kind of want to stay grassroots, and we want to kind of let the entry level person that comes in with a paddle kayak.
Yep.
The jump from a paddle kayak to pedal kayak is pretty big. It really is, right? Now you jump to a motor. Paddle to a motor is extremely huge jump. It's night and day, right? So that aspect of just trying to be more welcoming to the novice person that comes in with a paddle kayak is one reason. Okay, it's staying grassroots too, right? Is you want to stay in grassroots. But the biggest reason of all, it comes down to, from a tournament perspective, is if you have a motor, you can't launch at the same time as everybody else at some lakes. Not all lakes. Pueblo allows you to launch with an electric motor anywhere. Okay, they might change that rule this year, but they allow it. But most places do not allow that. You have to get inspected before you go on the water. ANS inspection. So let's say we want to launch. That's kind of the nice thing about being a kayak too, is you bass guys can't launch as early as we launch typically for a tournament. You have to wait till all you guys go through ANS inspections, right?
Right.
So we're already out in the water, getting to our spots that you guys probably want to get to too, the community holes, right? That maybe we beat you there. If we launch at the same time, you guys are going to beat us there because you got motors, right? So it gives us an opportunity to get out on the water before the big boats get out and start pushing all the waves out there, which becomes a dangerous thing to us also. Not that we're out there anyways with them eventually, but we get out a little bit earlier. We don't have to go through an inspection process, which would become a big pain. I mean, from a time perspective, right? We got to get in line with you guys, with the boat guys. And if there's 40 boats in front of you, you're not going to launch for 2 hours, I see. Okay. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons of all is that. And then on top of that, the more motors that people put on their kayaks, eventually they're going to require everybody to get INS inspected. Every kayak will eventually have to be INS. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they realize that we have electric motors. We don't have bilge pumps. We don't have water.
Right.
There's no muscles are going to go anywhere on our kayaks. All we got to do is keep them clean,
Yep.
So hopefully that doesn't happen for us, but there's been talk about that already, unfortunately. So that's what it really comes down to for us at our club, at our level here. From a BOS level, it's a little different. They kind of just want to stay at the grassroots level too,
Yeah. And that's, it's just been, I will say one of the first boats that I was looking at, and I currently own one and am selling it. I have a Blue Sky Boatworks 360.
Yep.
Okay. And it's the Pro. So it doesn't have area for a pedal in it. Only their Angler model did. Right. And so this one, the only option I have to this is to put like say an XI3 of, some kind or whatever on there. And so when I was first starting with that, I was like, okay, well, nope, I won't be able to get in that one and I won't be able to go there. So I was, trying to looking around. Now I have the option because, and the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club allows pedal drive though.
Yes.
Okay, so pedal or paddle. Okay, perfect.
Right, but just no motors. And just say this. So we do allow motors if you have a medical condition that requires it. So if you have a handicap sticker, that's how we do it. Our line of delineation is a handicap sticker. If you have a handicap sticker, by all means, bring that motor, come on.
That's top notch. Okay.
Yeah. Another reason too for the whole motor thing too is so we're multi-species. We allow trolling. We don't allow trolling in our bass series, but in the multi-species, because trout trolling, a lot of species you troll for. Sure. So we allow trolling on the multi-species side. If you have a motor, you could troll all day long and not get tired. That guy paddling, he has no chance.
How in the hell are you going to troll I watch.
You do.
That is crazy stuff.
I did it my first year.
I was watching Kristen Fisher videos.
Yep.
And mind you, she's like, 5-0, 100-0, soaking wet. She's small in that Hobie, but still watching her with a fishing pole, a catch net, and moving all this gear around. It was giving me anxiety watching her in the kayak going, how are you not tangled up 6 ways to Sunday?
Yeah, she walks all over her kayak. She goes to the front. She's like all over the place.
245 pounds is not walking anywhere on the kayak. Yeah. You see me up and walking, something hit me. All right, or I'm running from something.
If you get a native Titan or a Hobie PA, you can walk anywhere you want on those things. They are super stable. They're super stable. Yeah.
We looked at the Titan pretty close.
Yeah, I have one. I have a Titan 10 and I have a Slayer 12. But yeah, and I get back to motors real quick. Yep. I own a motor too. I had 2 back surgeries last year. I do have a motor, and I do that because when I compete at the national level, KBF, for example, they allow motors, and I have to be able to get out across the lake just like everybody else if I want to try to compete against them. So again, I do have a motor as well, and I do use it. Pre-fishing, I use it as well. I do. Does
the club allow you to use it for pre-fish practicing?
Absolutely. Okay. You can do whatever you want.
And then it just needs to be removed for tournament day.
Yep. That's what I do.
Sweet.
Yeah, I do that just to get across the lake, and then I pedal. I just get across the lake from spot to spot is all I use it for.
Heck yeah.
But it saves my back. Again, I had 2 back surgeries last year. So.
Yep. Well, I was talking to Jody Queen about the very same thing. And like, he's the one that made the statement. He goes, listen, I've seen Fisher go 8-9 miles in a day with hers on pedaling. He's like, she's in phenomenal shape. He goes, I'm 56. I'm not doing that. If the fish aren't where I thought they were going to be, I'm not going to put fish on the board that day.
Yep. Agree 100%.
And so, but what he said was the very same thing that, Hobie did now is allowing motors in practice, just has to be off before you get there. So that makes sense for sure.
Yeah, but we have a gentleman I love, Ron. This guy, Ron Solberg. I love Ron. He doesn't know I call him this, but I'm going to say that here anyways. I call him old man Ron. That's my nickname I have for him. I love Ron. Ron is the epitome of this club as well, right? So he's like 72 years old, I think he is. 71, 72, right in there.
Nice.
Retired, obviously, has a pedal kayak, and he just loves fishing. He comes out and competes at all our tournaments, and he travels, goes to national stuff as well. And these kayaks weigh a lot, the ones that he has or I have, the bigger kayaks, they weigh, you're talking about fully loaded with all your gear and everything, you're talking about 150 pounds, if not more.
Yep.
And he's just wheeling that stuff around and going out there, and it's incredible watching him out there. So it's for everybody. We have youth that compete. We have adults, it's for everybody. It really is,
That's
it
awesome.
really is. It's a passion of mine. It's great. It makes sense for people who don't have a garage to store a big boat, or the budget to store a big boat, or the gas just for a boat. It's a cheap alternative to get out on the water. You don't need a John boats are nice too. Canoes are nice, but these are way better than canoes. 1,000 times better than canoes. They're not tippy. Super stable, most of them.
Yep.
The wider the kayak, the more stable it is. The longer the kayak, the faster it is. Those are just little things people always ask about, right?
Yep.
They have wheeled systems now. It's pretty light to carry them, to pull them across everywhere. They just make sense. People bring them into the apartments. I know people bring them into their apartments and they store them in their apartment, right?
That's awesome.
In my garage, I have a hoist. I have an electric hoist that I can hoist the kayak up. So I just put it in there and I hoist it. It goes up. I also have a trailer and I store 2 of them on the trailer. But yeah, and I have another trailer. I have an ATV trailer I converted that could take 5 kayaks. I rented kayaks for a period of time before COVID.
Right.
I had a rental company. I was renting pedal kayaks out. But COVID killed that because of inventory issues. But anyways.
Awesome stuff. One of the other things that I can tell you coming in here, being a noob, one of the things I really like, two aspects of the kayak bass fishing that really caught my attention, that came to the top. One, I really, really like the way you guys, you customize and mod these things so specifically just to you. And that's why, it seemed to me to make that smart sense, start as a minimalist approach, work your way up as you get more used to it. You really can customize these things.
Absolutely.
It was one of the things that I really loved about the Unlimited model from New Canoe is this thing's a blank canvas with just like miles of track to use, at 41 inches wide for a big guy like me. I'm like, yeah, baby, that's what, I want something like that. But it's like the customization that I see, that's some of the funnest stuff that I see now on my social media feed is guys posting pictures of their little mod, for forward facing. So
I love it. Yeah.
A way they've tethered off this or that, in working. That piece there was really, really cool. I'm looking forward to that, to really customizing,
Yeah, that's grown. Back in the day, those guys, again, those kayaks weren't built for fishing. They had no tracks. They put tracks on. They built stuff with PVC. I was one of those guys. I'm a PVC guy. I built everything with PVC. I still do have rod holders that are PVC right now.
Nice.
You customize them. Like my PVC rod holder that I have on my back of mine, it holds 7 rods, and the 2 on the outside are stationary, but the ones in the middle all fold down together. So if I'm going to Lake Fork and I'm going down across a bridge, this is why I did it. At Lake Fork, I had to take all my rods off. I had to hold them in my hand, pedal underneath the bridge because it had broken my tips, and then put them all back in. I was worried about dropping them. So I had to make a system now that I can
fold them back
as I'm just push it down and then
That's
pull it
awesome.
back up, right? Doesn't work perfectly, but those are the kinds of things we love doing. I love doing.
Yeah.
There's YouTube groups out there that do it yourself, kind of DIY kayak stuff, and they just it's awesome. They just modify everything. My trailer, right? Everybody has trailers, and you modify your trailer to your specifications for your kayaks, for the gear you take, for your rods, for all that stuff, right? I love that piece of it. I love it's stuff. I love making stuff.
If you're even moderately handy with some tools here and there,
right?
Go on YouTube with that stuff. Yeah, it's one of the things that I'm actually really excited and looking forward to. I can't do that with my 2020 bass boat that's sitting out there because I'm thinking about selling that boat. So it's like, no, we're keeping this thing in mint condition, and we're not clicking on things.
Yeah, I'm the guy who loves it. Like I right here, I have 7 rods I'm looking at right here that I need to build. Right, so. Like, I just love tinkering and stuff. So I got some X-ray blanks here,
Oh, good stuff.
I need to build rods. I got into fly tying last year. So like, here's a little hair jig that I tied, right?
There you go. Smallmouth candy right there.
Yeah. I love this. I love just tinkering and building and doing, right? So.
Yeah. And that's, that was, like I said, that was one of the things that really, really helped, pull me in towards that area. So let's talk about the future of the club. What are some, we talked about the lofty goal there of going and who knows, maybe there's something that the True Patriots here, maybe we can join in to help you guys reach that goal.
That'd be awesome.
Obviously anything we can do to push that along, we should talk offline there, and we'll see what's coming up with that. The other side, the club itself. Let's talk about the future. Where do you where's the club going? Where do you guys want to go? What do you see? Some ideas that are getting thrown around.
So ideas. So one thing we've been trying to do forever is get involved with states around us. So our problem here in Colorado, the big problem we have here, from a national perspective, is we're in the middle of nowhere. I'm sure you see this. You see this in the glitter boat world as well, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere. So hosting tournaments, getting national attention is very hard.
Yep.
So like you're talking about the BOS series, you're talking about the Bassmaster series, you're talking about KBF series. A lot of those don't have anything. BOS, for example, they have nothing close to us. The closest one was like 12 hours away, and most of them are even much further than that driving, right?
Yep.
So it's difficult for us to get that, our anglers' notoriety, right? As far as from a national perspective.
Right.
It's kind of cool that, I don't know if you saw what Utah did. They had 2 guys that just killed it nationally. The guy just won the 10. The 10 is like, to me, one of the most prestigious things. And same thing with the Hobie Championship, but the 10 is pretty cool. He just won that, and he won like 2 or 3 events coming home, or did really well. He made a lot of money, right? So he made a little name for himself there real quick, but from Utah. And I remember when we hosted our first tournament here, and I was on a podcast, Fin and Paddle podcast, and they asked me, "You guys have bass?" That's the first question, right. That they had. You guys have bass? You guys have trout? We know that. We know it's trout state, right? You guys have bass out there? Like, maybe we don't have the ridiculous quality, but we still got bass here, and we still got decent bass here. You get the right places to get good bass, but.
I get the same look when I tell people what I do, and they're like, "Hang on, you're a bass angler in Colorado?" Right. I'm like, I drive.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been trying to bring more tournaments here. So KBF coming here is pretty big for us. Hobie coming here is pretty big for us. The Bassmaster Club that we have here, the Colorado Bassmaster Club, it's here. Mm-hmm. That gives us an avenue to send somebody from Colorado to fish the kayak, the Bassmaster Classic for the kayak side.
Yep.
Right. It gives us an opportunity to do that. We'll send somebody from here every year, which we did this year. He didn't go. He couldn't make it this year, but we could have, he qualified for it. So that gives us an opportunity to send people nationally, to give national notoriety and stuff like that. So that's one thing. So one thing we've been trying to make happen. I've been really trying, and I've talked to this girl, Erin Mathis. She runs the Utah club.
Okay.
The kayak club out there. And we were talking about, we just can never make it happen, about making a border war.
Oh, okay. Right.
So we have border war. We have a trophy every year. It goes to their club, goes to our club, kind of just bragging rights kind of deal,
Right.
We can never make that happen. So we've been trying to do something more regional. That's where AAKC, the All-American Kayak Series that you talked about earlier, they're trying to get more of the Midwest. Unfortunately, they're more Midwest.
Yeah, exactly.
West, right?
More mid than West.
They're more mid than West, unfortunately. So like I was going to go to Lake Palestine, but I had surgery on my finger, so I couldn't go. That was just a few weeks ago. But I plan on fishing a bunch of their series stuff. But once I missed that one, my opportunity then becomes limited because of how much I got to travel, vacation time you have to take in, and all that into account, right? So,
well, and I think they just changed. If I saw their rules section right, they just changed to where their AOY is going to go like off of 5 events or whatever,
right.
not best 3 or best 4.
Yeah, and that makes it near impossible for me personally, right?
If you can't fish them
if
all,
you can't travel, it becomes and they're long, and you got to take vacation time and everything. So I mean, so from a club perspective, we're just trying to figure out ways to long term to get more events here, right?
So expansion. That's the name of the game.
Or to create another series if we have to. Unfortunately, where we live is just difficult to do. And even with Utah and Arizona, I mean, KBF is trying to do something out west, so they created an event in Utah, at Pineview, and Roosevelt in Arizona, and then Chatfield here, and then in Clear Lake or something in Arizona. But Arizona is just as far as going to Nashville or to Lake Fork, or not Lake Fork, to out east.
Yep.
Arizona is the same as going to Lake Fork. It's a 15-hour drive. Utah is a 9-hour drive. It's the same as going to Okeechobee,
Ozarks.
Yeah, Ozarks or something like that, right?
Yep.
So it's still a drive. That's our challenge here. That's our biggest challenge. So what I see the club here doing is still being a grassroots club. It's just being a local club, introducing people to the sport, catering more to newbies, if you will, and to people who love to fish also. That's what I see us doing here as far as long-term goes.
Well, and as you get that participation going up there, Alex, when you get more and more people, this starts opening the door for divisions, right?
Correct.
Maybe
we have talked about that. Right.
Yeah, maybe you do have this is your AAA. This is where you start start here against this, because that makes sure that you're fishing against like experienced anglers.
So there's been,
and then take it even further with other divisions,
Absolutely, Gene. So that's what we're talking about, Gene, is we've been talking about this a little bit now, is possibly starting another club, or maybe do it through CKFC. The problem with doing it through CKFC, the challenge, people always say, why don't you have more tournaments? Or if you run tournaments, you understand. We run 10 tournaments. We have 5 for each series. 10 tournaments, that's 10 weekends. There's 26 weekends. 26 weekends from when basically beginning of April till September. That's our time frame we have for good weather, if you will. Even that's not good weather, right?
Yeah.
And so we have 26 weekends when you take out the holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You take out all those holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, all that stuff. You have it's 26 weekends. You take 10 of those. That's 10. That's almost half of those that you got to convince a wife, a significant other, take family time away. You add anything more to that, it's a challenge already with 10 as a board to be able to run that, right? And not only as a board, but for people to participate in those as well. So the challenge for us is, how do we grow this more and we create divisions like you're talking about?
Yep.
So our vision is, you have to do it through another club, unless you get more volunteers to step up. Our problem is it's hard to get volunteers. The reason I'm on this board for 6 straight years, we haven't had volunteers, and so I step up again and do it again. This will be my last year. I told my wife I will not do it again. It's not because I don't love the club. It's just I need some. My wife gives me a little bit of. It's 6 years I've given to the club, right? And it's a lot of time. It really is.
Man, people forget that support system that's behind us to allow us to do what we do. Without mine, there's no possible way I could do, and you do have to give up with them. I can tell you the thing that you're talking about, that scheduling piece, that's so awesome hearing you guys at a grassroots side talk about what really created the MLF. Because there were 80 of the world's best top anglers in the world that had been talking for almost 20 years prior about these issues, going, hey, and the 2 major organizations didn't want to listen to them. So they finally took matters in their own hands.
Good for them, right?
And if you look at their schedule, Mother's Day, there's no pro tournament.
Right.
Valentine's Day, there's no pro tournament.
Right.
They can spend time with family now, in that area. So
it's more than just a business. It's about
totally
Yeah. So for us, that's kind of the vision. There is I see another club potentially happening, and we already have Colorado Kayak Bassmaster. Like I said, it was another opportunity, and that's for the classic and stuff as well. So they'll grow. That club's going to grow immensely, and it's awesome. I support them 100%, 1,000%. Love them. But I see another club potentially popping up, or 2 even, that have series like, this is high end stuff. It's going to be high entry level stuff, bigger payouts, more competitive. We try at our level. Don't get me wrong, there's high competitiveness at our level too. Everybody wants to win.
Sure.
But we still try to cater to the entry level people. Like last year, we had a rookie of the year last year. A rookie of the year means if you never fished a tournament in our club, you're a rookie.
Nice.
Rookie of the year won like $400 or $500. I forgot what it was.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just for rookie of the year, and yeah. So, I mean, we try to cater to the entry level people as well. So I do see it growing, though. I do see other divisions happening. I think it's the evolution of the sport, evolution of the tournament series here.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no, good question.
Yeah, that's, we always like to look at that piece. At least I do. Where we're at now, obviously, anytime we get involved with organizations, it's a business move on top of a desire. So we always like to know kind of where the future, of those type of things. And I know a lot of people want to know that. So the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club is a phenomenal way to get introduced to kayak fishing just in general, be around individuals that live and breathe this all day long, and get your feet, wet, so to literally, with getting into the tournament side. That is awesome stuff. And to boot, the benefits. How does that work? The last question here for you. You guys, is it just money raised throughout the year, or do you do benefit tournaments, per event, or how do you guys do that?
Yeah, right now we've had ideas that we're throwing around to hold special tournaments and stuff like that. But right now, it's currently the way it's set up today is we have a membership fee, just $20. Just $20. That $20, by the way, gets you discounts. You get back more. Like, say you want a Dakota lithium battery, which are awesome, way better than lead acid batteries, right? They give us, I think it's 25% off.
Wow.
So you buy one battery, $100 battery, you already got $25 back. You got more than your membership fee already back. If you buy the bigger batteries, you get even more. You got multiple batteries, you get even more back. That's just one sponsor of ours, right? You add in all the other sponsors we have and the stuff they give us as far as discounts go, you get that money back. So I say that we have people who become members who don't fish tournaments just to get discounts, right?
Right.
And that benefits us because 100% of the membership. I'm sorry, not 100%. 50% of your membership fee, $10 of the $20 goes straight to charity.
Perfect.
The other $10 goes to Angler of the Year.
Okay.
That's why we build our Angler of the Year package.
Right.
And then every tournament, we pay back 80% of every tournament goes pay back 80% goes back to the people participating in the tournaments, right? Top 3 for cash. And then we take the other 20%, a little piece of that goes AOI, like 3%, and the rest of that goes to our charity for the year. So that's how we build our money for the year.
And what do the individual events usually run for entry fee?
$50.
Really?
Yeah, $50. Awesome. So it's $20 entry, $20 membership fee. Yep. And then you have to pay $50 per event.
Yep.
Of that $50, we have fees we have to pay. PayPal fees, let's say $3 a person. Tourney X, we use a management system. Tourney
I was going to say that was my next question. Which one? Tourney X. Okay.
Yeah, Tourney X is an app we use to take pictures and measure your fish and stuff. We use length in case people don't know. We use length and not weight for a fish.
Yep.
So we pay a Tourney X fee, which is $5 an angler, and then on top of that, so that's part of all that money built in, and then what other fees? So then the rest of that goes back to the people. 80% goes back to everybody.
Is there a big bass pot that guys?
Yeah, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there's a big bass pot. So $5 of that $50 goes to a big bass pot or big fish pot.
So big fish is already in the
it's included in the 50. No, we used to charge an extra, but we decided it becomes kind of pain to manage that. Like we just throw everybody in. We know who's in, who's not. One year we had a guy win it, but he didn't pay it. Luckily, he was honest enough because it's hard to keep track of that. He's honest enough to say, "Hey, I didn't pay the big bass." Like, oh, okay, who's the second biggest they wanted? And they took the pot, right? So now everybody's in it, no matter what you're in it, right? So it just makes it easier for us to manage that money. So $5 of that, 100% of that $5 goes back to whoever wins the biggest fish.
Big fish.
Bass. If it's a bass tournament, it's the biggest bass. If it's one of our other multi-species, it has to be one of the targeted multi-species fish. It can't be like I caught a carp. It's not on our list of target species, right? Yeah. So $5 goes back.
Now, is it all black bass in the bass tournaments? It's smallmouth and largemouth.
Smallmouth and largemouth and spots.
Are there spots in Colorado?
Yeah, Pueblo has spots.
Pueblo does? Okay.
Pueblo has spots. I believe John Martin has spots as well.
Nice.
Those are only two places I know of.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of spots in the Ozark country where I fish down there.
I love it. They're aggressive.
They
you
are.
Look into one. They feel like they're bigger than what they are.
Yep. It's like
they're always in huge packs of fish usually.
And it's like smallies too. I mean, you don't, trying to tire out a smallmouth is just good luck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The only time I've ever been like, jabbed and had a fin break off, it's been smallmouth every time.
Yeah. Always smallmouth. They're
trying to belly those things. Yeah. Dude, this is exciting. I am extremely, extremely glad that I had an opportunity to ask you to come here, and very, very thankful that you said yes to coming on our podcast. What we would love to do is just throughout the year, man, as the club is doing things, big events coming up or whatever, we need to have you back, man. And just, talk about upcoming events. If there's big fundraising that you guys are looking at, off air, you and I should absolutely chat. Who knows? This is right here at home. We're all in the backyard doing the same thing, working in the same direction.
Absolutely.
We've been talking about trying to throw up some benefit tournaments where 100% proceeds go to a select charity, of one of the nonprofits we work with, and then we'll have sponsors throw up some prize packs, type things.
I love that. I would love to do something also. I would love to do a glitter boat versus kayak. Because it's always been like one of those things like, so how good are you? How good are you? Like.
So which one is it? I've heard guys call us the big boats, and now I'm hearing glitter boat. I'm going to be honest with you. Big boat is a lot more masculine than glitter boat. But glitter boat is a far more descriptive. Oh yeah.
Have all the glitter. They look beautiful. They're beautiful boats, right?
The Silver Mist internal hull that I have will literally almost blind you in the sunlight. It's like,
incredible.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. Yeah. No, I would love to do something like that though, just even for fun, or just like I said, a charity tournament. We say, you know what, let's put up the best kayak guys against the best bass guys, or boat guys, and just for fun,
Yeah, the only, in all honesty, having my feet wet in both worlds, I can honestly say, the only advantage that the big boat, in my personal opinion, well, two advantages: more gear, but that can also hinder you in a major way, is having too many options in front of you, but is being able to cover water. If you think that's that would probably be it. But in the reverse of that, what I'm really looking forward to is, I think kayak tournament anglers are far more meticulous about picking apart,
absolutely,
finding the patterns within the patterns.
Have to,
that sort of thing, because hey man, that's where you launched. Some KBF allows you to trailer in some of the events, but you're not going to win a tournament with your kayak on a trailer, dude. You need to be in the water. So
I think that, I really believe that too. I believe that if you want to become a really, really good angler, get into the kayak world, because you can't run and gun. You see bass guys, they'll come and fly a million miles an hour, turn the corner, come into a creek, fish one spot, throw 5 casts, get out of the creek, go to another creek. I mean, literally 5 casts and they're out, right? We don't have that option. We're stuck where we are. We can't travel the lake. So we got to pick apart every little piece of everything, right?
To be completely truthful with you, if you see guys doing that, they shouldn't be doing that either.
Yeah, I know.
They think they're being real efficient, but
they're not. I know.
No.
Well, you see it happen. You do,
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And I just, I was, I love the fact that, no, this is the arm, or this is the creek pocket. And I'm going to, maybe go out to the point and around to the next one. But for the most part, this is, you're going to be really digging apart that stuff. So that's
what strategy in the tournament world for kayaks. I mean, it's fame for best and for boats too. I mean, you have to have a strategy, but our strategy really has to come into play, because you have to say, okay, this is A, B, and C. I can only hit 3 or 4 spots in the lake. I got to make this happen. Yep. And you got to have a really good plan in place. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome stuff. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so very, very much for coming on here. We are absolutely giddy over here with where the future holds. I have a feeling if I'm foreseeing the future, you and I are going to be having lots of conversations in the future. Hopefully, I'm going to be having an opportunity, because at 50 years old, I'm just going to say it, having a plaque that says Rookie of the Year would make me feel really good.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome to have a chance. All I got to do is get my pivot system on there from New Canoe, and I'm ready to go, man.
There you go.
You said,
Alex,
Alex,
love to see you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Check them out, folks. Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. It's COKayakfishing.com. Go check them out there. You can learn everything you want to learn. All their contact info's out there.
Facebook.
Yeah. What is the social media?
Yeah. So Facebook is where we do most of everything we do is on Facebook. So
Gotcha.
just look up Colorado Kayak Fishing Club.
Yep.
You ask to become a member there and we'll accept you. Answer a couple questions and we'll accept you.
Perfect.
And don't be afraid to ask any questions out there. I mean, the whole reason the club exists is to grow the sport. So
awesome. Check them out, folks. They're doing good things in the community, plus offering all kinds of benefit for individuals and select groups of our communities as well. Again, Alex, thank you so much for coming on, and we're looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.